All right, peace, family. As you know, on my channel, I talk about the Seminoles a lot, but I always get people who come through and bring up the Gullahs. I wanna, I don't wanna say dispel the myth, but I wanna add an alternative into the origin of the name Gullah Geechee. All right, during the late 17th century and early 18th century, the Gael society was shattered by extensive epidemics of new infectious diseases and attacks by other tribes. Some of the surviving remnants migrated to the mission areas of Spanish Florida, while others remained near the Georgia coast. Joining with other survivors, they became known as the Yamasee, an ethnically mixed group that emerged in a process of ethnogenesis. So, as we talked about with the Seminoles, the process of ethnogenesis, they're saying that the Yamasee came together also through the process of ethnogenesis. But the thing that's so interesting about the Yamasee is like when we go look at the Yamasee War, the Yamasee War is a black on white war. And the Yamasee War was about the European trying to enslave these black natives through business transactions. After they enslaved them, the Yamasee had enough of it and warred with them, killing like close to 17% of their population in the Carolinas. But the Gael had been cited as one of the possible origins of the name of the Gullah people. They said it's a distinct African American ethnic group that emerged and was concentrated in much the same area where the Gael lived. The alternative name for Gullah was the Gullah Geechee, and it has also been connected to the Ogeechee River, part of the Gael territory. So we have these Gael people living near the Ogeechee River, and if you look at the word Gullah Geechee, the only difference between Geechee and Ogeechee is the letter O, but it's the same exact word. So we have the Gael around the Ogeechee River, and we have the Gullah Geechee living in the same area. Got some imagery of the Ogeechee River near the Savannah, Georgia, near Savannah, Georgia. Some scholars have also suggested the indigenous American origins of these words. The Spanish named the South Carolina and Georgia coastal region as Gael after the Native American tribe. The name of the Ogeechee River, a prominent geographical feature in the coastal Georgia and central to the Gael territory, may have derived from this Creek word or Muskogee word. The Sapelo Islands, the site of the last Gullah community of Hog Hammock, was also a principal place of refuge for the Gael people who also fled slavery on the mainland. As I said, that these Yamasee, and as we see, the Gael were also being persecuted and put into slavery, but they was in the same area that we find these Gullah Geechee people. I hold that it's the same thing. So now we're going to get into the term Angola, because some people say that the word Gullah comes from Angola. The name Angola comes from the Portuguese colonial name for Reino de Angola, which is the Kingdom of Angola. So the Gael were interacting with the Spanish, and in Angola, they're interacting with the Portuguese. That's very important. But the Kingdom of Angola appeared as early as Dias des Novias 1571 charter. The toponym, which is a place name, was derived by the Portuguese from the title Angola, which was held by the king of Indongo. Indongo, in the highlands between Kwaza and Lukula River, were nominally a possession of the Kingdom of the Congo, but was seeking a greater independence in the 16th century. The Kingdom of Indongo is first recorded in the 16th century. It was one of a number of vassal states to the Congo. Though Indongo was the most powerful of these, with a king called the Angola. So, one of the origins that they saying of this word in Angola is a king of the Congo, basically a vassal of the king of the Congo, a vassal king of the Congo, name was Angola. But when the Portuguese explorer named Diego Cal reached the Kingdom of Congo at the end of the 15th century, Angola as such did not exist. Its present territory comprised of a number of separate people, some organized as kingdoms or tribal confederation of varying sizes. So really what I wanted to just show though, the way that they try to tell history is a little disingenuous. They always, and some people won't have a problem with it because they don't see that it's actually damage that they're doing. They try to tie in everything with black back to Africa, and you can do that. You can find trace between Africa and America. But when you try to take indigenous terms and turn them into African just because the terms are associated with black people, you're doing it disingenuous because you're kind of holding up that history where all black people in the Western Hemisphere came by way of slavery or the transatlantic slave trade. And that's just not true. By the time of the third mission in 1571, the King of Portugal, Sebastian I, had decided to charge Dias de Nuas with the conquest and subjugation of the Kingdom of Angola. So we can find the term Angola dealing with the king of vassal king of the Congo. We can find the Kingdom of Angola talked about by the Portuguese. So people will have to actually prove how Angola became Gullah Geechee. Because you can prove that the Gael lived around the Ogeechee River, which is the same place that the Gullah Geechee are to this day. This is a region where they are located at. In the coastal islands, we show that the Gael went there too. So they would have to show how this usage for a vassal king of the Congo became used in Florida. Because we could show that this name was used before the Yamasee, obviously with the Yamasee as a part of that tribe through the ethnogenesis process. And through ethnogenesis in Florida, we could see that the Seminoles would have still had this Gael bloodline being transferred into Florida. But this is a Free Black Society presentation. I just wanted to show you a separate way of looking at things and an alternative to the name Gullah Geechee. Peace.